Vickery Studios in downtown Little Rock. This is Capitol View with your host, David Goins.
Okay, good Sunday morning to you. Welcome into Capitol View. I'm David Goins. It has been a busy 2014, and I have a great panel with us this morning to help break it all down, remember it, reflect on it, and see where we go in 2015. Immediately to my right is Bill Vickery, 1037 The Buzz, Republican strategist. To my left, from The Voice 96.5, Alice Stewart. Always good to see you again. And the editor of the Arkansas Times, Max Brantley. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good. Everyone's great. Okay, so for the sake of chronological order, let's start in January. This seems like a long time ago when you talk about how fast a year goes by. After the State Ethics Commission found numerous campaign and office expense problems, a defiant Governor Mark Darr said that those who wanted him to leave were misinformed, politically motivated. Less than a week later, in mid-January, the Springdale Republican did in fact resign, leaving the office vacated for the entire year, which sparked speculation whether the office should even exist. And as we know, that got Tim Griffin into jumping into this. I don't want to dovetail too much with Martha Schaffner, but let's open it up. What was this? This is a pretty significant part of the year with these problems with the constitutional officers. I'll start with you, Alice.
I think more than anything, it was frustrating that the public trust in our elected officials was tarnished by this, having one right after the other with Martha Schaffner and then Mark Darr. But I think the good thing is that the Ethics Commission came in, took swift action, and made the appropriate steps to make sure that this was investigated and looked into. I think Mark Darr to try and continue to stay in politics when all this was out there was a big mistake. And I think, fortunately, we've got now some great folks that have been elected into office, and the worst part about all this is it took a while to get through with one right after the other. The confidence in public officials got a tarnish.
Max, what was kind of your reflections? Because we were at the Ethics Commission meetings and kind of saw this ball of yarn unraveling slowly.
Well, one thing, it's a product of a vibrant two-party system. Both Mark Darr and Martha Schaffner were undone by political opponents combing through their records and saying, hey, these people aren't doing right. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. That's a good thing. The Ethics Commission is frankly underfunded, understaffed, and so it requires outside people to take a look. They got Mark Darr. I think Mark Darr's departure proved pretty conclusively we don't need a lieutenant governor very much, except for in that awful event that something happens to the governor, and perhaps for that reason alone we need that person. But that's one office I don't think needs a pay raise when we get around to that later next year.
As pay raises, that's 2015 stuff. Bill, lieutenant governor.
One, I agree. I think having a vibrant two-party system puts emphasis now on things that in Arkansas politics weren't emphasized in the past. People could sort of indiscriminately spend campaign dollars on just about anything they wanted to, maybe have an office slush fund that you replaced. You didn't necessarily have to follow the rules simply because no one was really looking. Now, people look, people pay attention. Regular citizens pay attention and comb through these reports. So a lot of this stuff, I think Max is right, is as a result of a pretty vibrant, real two-party system in Arkansas. I would disagree. We've seen twice now the lieutenant governor ascend to the governor's mansion, two separate occasions in the 90s, and I think it is important. It is important to have a statewide elected person setting one heartbeat away from the governor's office, whether that be for maybe the governor becoming president of the United States or something else.
Well, and you talked about, slush fund, people spending however they wanted to. There wasn't really any accountability. Max talked about the benefit of having a two-party system where people could find that out. We've kind of talked about, I'll just jump in, Amendment 3, which obviously is kind of the new landscape for the state on, the Walmart rule, no cup of coffee, but there seems to be a lot of maybe lack of clarity on where this thing is going. Let's open it up to anybody and your thoughts on kind of how that's going to play out.
Well, a lot of legislators I've talked with say, oh, it won't affect anything.
There's a lot of scheduled lunches. Like there's already been some scheduled lunches that meetings will stop so everyone can go eat to stay within the rules, right? I mean.
Well, a lot of them say it won't affect what they've been doing because they never accepted, free lunches or free dinners. And to be honest, that's part of the process. Some of them will actually say that the lobbyists who take them out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner they refer to them, to be honest, as staff, because these lobbyists help provide them information that they need on legislation that they're looking into. They hear from one. I'm saying this is what some legislators excuse for, but they say they hear from one lobbyist on one side and one on the other, and then they make a decision. That's some of the elected officials' view on that.
Well, I was going to let the lobbyists down there.
Yeah, are you staff?
How necessary they are to the conversation. You know.
I think this. I think, one, passage was a good thing, I think, of Amendment 3. I think, two, most of these people now, as a product of term limits, didn't exist in an era when these sort of elaborate big dinners and people would back their car and the trunk would pop open and you'd put steaks in or lobster or whatever that might have been. These are a bunch of young people now that come to office. They're driven by an agenda. They campaign on an agenda and they get up here. I don't think a meal is that important to them. So they're not looking to sustain this. I do think, however, there is a need to put some very clear, definitive rules in place and to say this is what it says, and to do otherwise is breaking the law. I think that's what you're seeing.
Well, this is a move toward a full-time legislature, which I don't happen to think is a good thing. We designed, our founding document founded us as a part-time legislature, and it's supposed to be a 60-day session in odd years and a 30-day in even years now. And I think the interim committees have grown mostly as a way to get people into Little Rock more often and pay their per diem. The amendment lets legislators serve 16 consecutive years in a single house. That's a generation. That's nearly a lifetime. It allows them to be paid more, and then some of them are sitting around hoping for huge pay raises. And they included this scheduled event exception to the no lobby rules, and now letting them all dine out 3 times a day.
Yeah, I think there's been voter-induced mission creep, maybe inadvertently, but when you look at 08, adding the even number sessions, now you have this, so we'll keep looking at that. That was in November when the voters passed that. Let's look at the month of March, where the legislature gave the private option another 12 months of life. It narrowly passed again in both chambers. We've talked about that several times. Securing the final vote in the Senate was made possible in exchange to put a greater emphasis on workforce programs. That from North Little Rock Senator Jane English. We'll see how that goes. We've talked a whole lot. I mean, we get into elections as well, as far as, you know, what happened in the primaries and so forth, but private option, a huge story in 2014. That's just going to continue in 2015, I think.
Oh, without a doubt. And the interesting thing is so many folks ran on doing away with private option, but legislators I've talked to, I'm not convinced it's going away. I think there's still, while there's extremes on both sides of the issue, I think there's enough support to keep it around. I think a good thing, Governor-elect Hutchinson is going to look at it and very cautiously. He's going to weigh both sides, and I think it's going to be a very serious debate, but you know, like it or not, I think there's still enough support to keep it around.
Well, what he told us last week was this, you keep hearing this word solution for what they're going to do, and solution doesn't really sound like they're going to get rid of it.
Well, he can't get rid of it. He has to have it if he's going to cut taxes by $100 million. He can't cut taxes and throw out the private option. The arithmetic doesn't work. So he has to be for it. He understands that it's going to have to come with changes that make it more palatable to the red-hot conservatives in his party. Whether it's made so palatable it's unacceptable to the federal government is going to be a difficult bridge to cross, I think. But the state needs it. I do think one factor in the consideration is the Democrats are going to tire of just being a useful tool. That is, they're going to need their 40 votes to pass in the House, and if they get nothing in return for it except a pat on the back, then they might say, well, so why?
May start looking like Democrats in D.C. What do they got to lose? And they're in safe districts. Hey, Bill, I know you support the private option.
Yeah.
It's been a big, huge political issue. Yeah. That's not going to change.
No, it's not going to change at all. I do think the Democrats pursue that strategy at great peril. If they're seen as ultimately the stumbling block to reauthorization of this, I think you'll see the establishment take a lot out on them, and they will spiral even further, if that's possible, into obscurity in the state of Arkansas. I do think there is a path. I think the people who created this have an idea of taking market efficiencies and dragging old entitlement programs over into a new era where you can implement some of these market efficiencies. I think there are some very good conservative arguments that are associated with the private option.
You expect it to
has
be messy,
done. I do think it will be messy, but at the end of the day, I think you'll see a lot more common ground than you see disagreement, and ultimately I think it very well could be reauthorized. But I think ACE is taking a great approach. I think you have to look at this on a day-by-day schedule. You can't project ahead. So.
All right, we're off and running on our 2014 year in review with Bill Vickery, Alice Stewart, and Max Brantley. I'm David Goins. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Furniture is here.
What did you get?
I got a sectional, 2 accent chairs, a new lamp, a bed set.
At the great year-end sell-off at Furniture Row, you can get more for less with up to 50% off store-wide.
A rug, a sofa table.
This is a special report for people who want the facts about reverse mortgages without the hype. You've seen a lot of commercials telling you how you can turn the equity in your home into tax-free cash. But do you really know if a reverse mortgage loan can help you? Call today. For a limited time only, we'll send you a free special report. Reverse mortgages, facts without the hype. Did you know that not everyone over 62 can qualify? And you can choose to receive your money monthly or in a lump sum. Call us today and get all the facts you need. You'll speak with an experienced reverse mortgage advisor who will give you honest answers to your questions and even provide a free personalized assessment. This is a big decision. Get the facts with this free special report. Reverse mortgages, facts without the hype. There's no obligation, and the call is free. So don't delay.
Call 1-800-775-0984. That's 1-800-775-0984. Call now.
In Judge Judy's court,
you only have one chance to make a first impression.
One side of the story is never enough.
What are you, nuts?
One big mouth gets you in big trouble.
Trust me, you are done.
And one dumb question brings an answer that smarts.
You left out a word. Stupid.
No wonder you've made her America's favorite judge.
I'm not just a pretty face.
There's only one Judge Judy.
This is my playpen.
Weekdays at 3 and 4 on KARK.
Make a resolution you can keep and start the new year off right with a great deal from Denver Mattress. Get huge savings and 5 years no interest on Serta, Sealy, Denver Mattress, and more during our brand name mattress clearance. Now through December 31st.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. I'm David Goins. We're joined by our panel here of Max Brantley, Alice Stewart, and Bill Vickery. One wonderful panel we've got going on this morning. Okay, so we're moving into the mid part of the year for our 2014 year in review. Let's look at early May when President Obama actually made his only visit to the state of Arkansas during his time as president. Probably safe to say that'll be the only time he will visit while president. Touring the damage in Faulkner County left behind by a high-end EF4 tornado that leveled Valonia and parts of Mayflower on April 27th. The photos that were taken with Senator Mark Pryor at the time, not really politicized, understandably so, given what was going on the ground there, but did really serve as one of the only times the two-term president appeared alongside a vulnerable Democrat in their home state, really in any capacity during the election cycle. Moving forward to the end of June, a little history made as the Arkansas lawmakers hold their second special session. I didn't realize they dressed in period costume. Did anybody know that? I didn't.
Yes.
You know,
some people actually voted as though it was 18.
And it was a little warm, I hear.
Right. Yeah. End of June had a historical feel to it. The House chambers were under renovation. That's why they were there. The body of 100 plus staff. They moved all the proceedings to the old State House Museum on Markham, which hadn't been used for substantive legislation in more than 100 years, debatable on the legislation passed during the summertime. The continued efforts, of course, to shore up the solvency of the state's public school employee health insurance program on June 30th. Does that special session go down as just a footnote of where it was held?
It's a subtext of a footnote.
Subtext of a footnote.
I mean,
An asterisk of a subtext.
It just put a patch on the insurance and it didn't fix anything.
Yeah, I think there's another $35 million in the hole as we speak at the end of the year. So, yeah.
And one thing BB always said throughout his 8 years is, you know, I want to have he wants to have a special session if the majority agrees with it, but he wanted to have it be for a specific reason that could maybe get something fixed. But this one didn't really seem like it did a whole
Well, they had to put some money in to prevent some catastrophic situations, and they did that, but it didn't. Until they fix the disparity on teacher insurance, that
versus
is, that
state
they have
employee.
to pay a whole lot more than state employees do, there is no fix.
Well, and there's a frustration with a lot of this information could and should have come out during the actual legislative session, and it didn't, and so they had to call a special session, which made it frustrating for
Two special sessions on the same topic within 6 months or 9 months, is that Arkansas history buffs, is that unusual? Because the October session was essentially the same thing.
And it's such a technical issue. I mean, normally when you think about a special session of the Arkansas legislature, I think Max was right. You got to call it because you got to put money in the pot. There's not an easy fix to this, so the can was kind of kicked down the road a little bit. I do think in this legislative session, you'll see a number of different ideas put forward in terms of bill language and a lot to vote on. So.
Okay, well, we have a minute here, and in full disclosure, as of taping date right now, the Arkansas Supreme Court has not made a ruling on the legal issue of gay marriage. So in our brief amount of time, obviously it was a big story in 2014 in the month of May with the amount of marriage licenses that were issued. Max, I'll take it to you, kind of where do you maybe potentially put this in context for how significant the year was for same-sex marriage?
Well, it was big because 500 same-sex couples got married in Arkansas, and it was a glorious week, and it was an advertisement for the happiness that it can bring to bring equality to those people. It was a significant year, too, because dozens of courts across the country struck down similar bans. I think that ultimately predicts the outcome of the Arkansas Supreme Court case. We may find out I'm wrong by the time we go, simply because there's so much cover from so many other courts. And the U.S. Supreme Court has sent a pretty strong signal that it's likely to uphold the overturning of the bans.
Okay. I agree with the trend in the courts that they will uphold Judge Piazza's ruling. My view on this, it's unfortunate when we have people of the state of Arkansas voting and electing legislators to make laws that represent their views and values, and then we have the courts come and do away with that. That's the concern, but I do think the Supreme Court will uphold the ruling. Okay, well, we are going to move into, you guys remember there was a campaign this year? You guys
familiar with that? Yes.
All right.
I know Max might want to forget.
Everyone wants to rehash that. We'll do that when we come back. Max Brantley, Alice Stewart, and Bill Vickery. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Some things are risky, and some things are smart.
Find emergency room.
Like the entirely new Hyundai Sonata. With the Insurance Institute's highest safety award, it'll be one of the safest decisions you'll ever make. Right now, during Hyundai holidays, take advantage of our best offers of the year.
Now lease a Sonata for $199 a month, or get up to $2,500 total savings. Offer ends January 2nd. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Could your house go into foreclosure? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home and you feel like you have nowhere to turn? Then we have good news for you. American Foreclosure Service. American Foreclosure Service can help save your home. We specialize in foreclosure assistance, and that's all we do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call American Foreclosure Service now. American Foreclosure Service has a network of attorneys, and our agents are available to speak to you now. Remember, if you're behind on your mortgage payments, American Foreclosure Service can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it's too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home, so call American Foreclosure Service now.
Call 800-470-9599. That's 800-470-9599.
I've always seen No No on TV, and I always wondered if it worked. And it definitely, I can see what everybody talks about now.
It's not a razor. It's not a laser. It's No No from Radiancy. No No gives you no hair with no pain.
There's absolutely no pain.
Can't believe the difference how it's almost hair-free.
And now, No No is better than ever. Introducing the No No Pro. It's up to 35% more powerful. Imagine never having to shave again.
I like a close shave. Absolutely. And this is better than that. I mean, it's gone.
And there's a No No for him, too.
It looks like just like you've got a fresh wax, but like you don't have to go through all the pain.
Call now, and we'll send you everything you need to get rid of your unwanted hair. Try No No for 60 days. If you don't love it, return it, and we'll refund the purchase price, refund the shipping, and even pay the return postage. Try No No risk-free today.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
All right, welcome back to Capitol View. Happy holidays, everyone at home. We have Bill Vickery, Alice Stewart, Max Brantley, our all-star year-end panel here. You know, it's kind of unfair to just put campaigns and elections as a part of a year when it just kind of permeated not only 2014 but parts of 2013 too, Bill.
Yeah, well, obviously it's the top story, the next story, the next story. It's 1 through 5 in terms of political stories in Arkansas and just overall what's happened in terms of the shift in the political landscape in the state, starting with the primaries and running all the way through to the general. Obviously, the president is highly unpopular here. He proved to be an anvil around the necks of every Democrat that was running, even for dog catcher. So a banner year for Republicans. Christmas came early, and now I think we're truly in a situation where Arkansas is a firm red state from top to bottom.
Okay, well, Max, I'll throw it to you. A little 2 against 1 here as far as the analysts go. Some people from a Democratic persuasion have talked about Arkansas being closer to Oklahoma now, as far as the political realignment. Is it that simple? I mean, what do you kind of...
absolutely. I think you can't analyze the election any way but that Arkansas is now a majority straight ticket Republican voting state. It's interesting to look at the differentiation among some of the Republican candidates. Some of the Republican candidates, and I won't name them by name, that were really the worst of the bunch, enjoyed some of the biggest votes among the Republican candidates. I mean, it was really, everybody got 55%. That was just a given. It was just a question if you'd add a couple more points on top of that. And there was some real differentiation. There were a number of races where strong candidates were fielded by Democrats who ran smart campaigns with good advertising and good issues, and voters just were not moved. It's just like the days when they did the same thing for Democrats.
I think what we're saying, we always say all politics is local, and people base their decision based on local issues. But this really was a referendum on not Barack Obama, but his policies and the Democratic policies. And what we saw here in Arkansas is that the Democratic policies aren't helping middle-class people of Arkansas, and they're not helping people that are out there trying to get a job. And that's what this election was about. We see it all through the Bible Belt now, where we're seeing more of these states we have in the Bible Belt turning Republican, because it's the policies, the liberal policies of this administration don't reflect what we see here in the South and here in
Well, this
Arkansas.
is kind of faith-based as opposed to fact-based
No, I'm talking
positions.
I'm talking the
There have been
economy.
greater job creation in the last 6 years than there was under all of the Bush years. The deficit has been reduced. We've got 10 million more people on health insurance that didn't have it. You know, you can say these are bad for middle-class people, but the facts are good things have happened.
Well,
but people believe they have not. I absolutely agree with you that the facts do not matter. They believe things are terrible.
No, the facts are labor participation rates also at an all-time high, so people aren't out there looking for jobs because they're not there, but that's...
Can I say something about, back to Arkansas? Structurally, I think that was a big shift that was pretty much overlooked by almost everyone, but which I think is a major issue. For the first time in the state's history, more people voted in the Republican primary than in the Democratic primary. That is a massive structural change. That means people show up for Republican
and
primaries
kind of a
now.
tell where this was going.
So as we saw with the Democratic Party for so long, conservatives showing up and running as a Democrat because they could get elected.
Right.
Now we're seeing the shift, and I think that is hemlock for the Democratic Party.
I guess my question to anyone is, everyone talks about, kind of the homogenization of politics across the country. A lot of states look the same because the policies are all kind of similarly debated. Is there still room for what makes Arkansas politics interesting, the nuance, or that's why I kind of brought up Oklahoma? Is it just the state legislature's getting, just kind of almost carbon copied, or is
no, in the short
Arkansas
term, no. I think that the Republican agenda is very clear. You can predict the outcome of just about any vote on any issue, where I don't really think that was true with Democrats. The National Democratic Party might have this reputation that Alice likes to take from the talking point machine about the liberals. That's not the case in Arkansas. That Mike Beebe, who was a very popular governor, was no liberal. I mean, he's not. He's a moderate through and through. But I think that I think the voters have said they're perfectly comfortable with the Republican agenda. I think the party has done a very good job of educating the voter of Arkansas that being a Republican means X. It means lower taxes, opposition to abortion, a strong position on guns, faith front and center. And even though some of these things happen to be true about Democrats as well, the belief has become that they don't. Well, that's the Republican Party, and so I think that the legislature will deliver on those.
There's also there's also the process part of this election, and it came to voter turnout, and Bill talks about higher Republican turnout. The GOP actually did a really good job across the nation in Arkansas in turning out votes, and the Democrats just didn't get out the vote in terms of getting people motivated to come out and vote. And it's part policies, but it's also the process of the get out the vote effort was strong on the Republican side.
All right, elections have consequences. How many times have we heard that? So we'll talk about how 2015 will look. We'll wrap it up with Max Brantley, Alice Stewart, Bill Vickery. I'm David Goins. You're watching the 2014 Year in Review, Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Dad, why don't we have to fix the car?
Because it saves money, buddy.
How big are Bigfoot's feet?
I think their size 7.
Do whales sweat? Can I get my hands dirty? Why do pigs oink?
What are you doing? No, that's a crescent wrench. That's a monkey wrench. Hammer.
I'm being a good helper, aren't I, Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
Can God fix everything?
Four reasons to count on KARK4 is your weather authority.
1. Weather Rate's most accurate forecast.
2. Weather on the 4s, every morning from 4 until 7. 3. We start every newscast with the forecast first.
4. We have our own live radar. Everyone else's data is delayed.
Need 4 more reasons? Our award-winning team of meteorologists, Keith Monahan, Greg D., Pat Walker, and Natalie Walters. The reasons are endless. KARK4 is your weather authority. You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. Let's wrap it up. Looking at 2015 with Bill Vickery, Alice Stewart, and Max Brantley. Predictions in 30 seconds or less. We'll start with you, Max.
Oh gosh, downtown Little Rock is gonna be a downtown again. Things are happening there. And then secondly, the Republican legislature will pass at least one law that's unconstitutional, and somebody will win an attorney's fees for suing and getting it overturned.
But it won't get a veto.
Oh no, it won't be vetoed. No, absolutely not.
That'll be the difference. Alice.
I predict with Republicans in all the constitutional offices, I know they're going through the budgets and the staff. I think we're going to see some serious belt tightening in state government. We're going to see a lot of these staffs slim down, trim down a little bit. That's going to take a lot of folks by surprise. And certainly 2015 is going to be big time for picking up for 2016 presidential race. I think it'll be an exciting time.
That's true. Yeah, January. We'll find out more about that. Bill.
It will be a tough call to who has a better year in 2015, Asa Hutchinson or Brett Bielema. I think both are going to shepherd programs that were going to be very effective and do some real good. We played meaningful football in November, and we're going to have a great legislative session January through probably mid-April.
Woo pig.
Woo pig. I'm on the bandwagon over here.
Right.
Asa and Brett. There we go.
Support for that, as always. Bill Vickery, Alice Stewart, Max Brantley, thanks so much for coming in. Everyone have a great new year, and we'll see you all on the other side, all right?
Thank you.
Okay, that is it for today's show. We'll see you back in early January for our first new episode of the year. Enjoy your new year.
Perhaps the greatest TV special ever offered. You get 5 great gifts for all occasions.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus, I could
Her breathtaking voice has captured hearts around the world.
You are the wind beneath my wings.
Every song you've always wanted, they have never sounded so beautiful. Call now for this new special by Christy Lane. You get over 70 classics on 3 CDs, plus Christy's #1 million selling biography for only $19.99. Plus shipping, you save over 50%. Less than $5 each. Call now, and as a special bonus, you get the collector's item, Christy's first live concert and show on DVD, absolutely free. You pay shipping only.
Call 800-748-7404.
5 beautiful gifts that keep on giving for someone you love.
You suffer from swollen ankles and calves? Introducing Zip Socks, the zip-up compression socks that soothe and revitalize. Zip Socks Comfort Compression increase